If you want to go from traditional business manager to digital leader, simply taking tech courses is not going to be enough. It is important. You have to learn to speak tech. So, what do I mean by that? Speaking tech is not the same as taking a Python course. So, speaking tech means that you know how to collaborate with people who build apps, who build sites, who build algorithms. And you know what? Not every single person who works on these products actually uses Python. For example, user experience designers. That's not what they do. Do you know what a user experience designer does? Do you know the function of design in technology? If you don't, then you don't speak tech. That's what learning to speak tech is. It is learning to understand who does what on a product team. How does a product go from being an idea for an app to actually being a scaling thing that is making millions and reaching millions? That is learning to speak tech. But again, that is not enough. Imagine like you learned all of the terminology, you understand what an API is, you know why a backend takes longer to build than a front end, all of that. Okay, great, congratulations. Are you then going to get picked for a head of digital strategy job? No, no. Just taking a bunch of courses is not going to be enough. You need to do two other things. The second thing you need to do is you need to get involved in the right project. So, like, let's say, for example, right now you are an investment banker and you want to switch into fintech. Well, let me tell you, competition is high. There are a lot of people who are really like dying to leave banking and want to get into fintech because there's money, it's cool, there are interesting people. I feel you, I understand. Okay, if you're a banker and you're just taking a bunch of courses and you're not getting anywhere with those courses, that's because you are not doing enough. You need to get involved with the right project. So what can you do? One of the things you could do to get involved with some projects is you could volunteer your experience and become an advisor to an early stage startup. Or, for example, you could volunteer to help out at an accelerator. Maybe they don't actually need your expertise. Like what are you going to do? Say you're a bond trader. What are you going to do to help out at an accelerator? Maybe they don't necessarily actually need your expertise, but they could still use your network, that you could literally just go and help out at this accelerator, bring events together. This is how you get involved in these projects. This is how you understand, okay, how do they screen startups? What does innovation look like? What is happening in fintech? What kinds of fintech companies are getting funded? Because these are the companies that are going to be the companies of the future. And when you're getting involved in new projects as part of a career transition, don't expect anybody to pay you. Because if you don't yet have experience, they're not going to pay you. So think about it. It's like when you got internships when you were at college. They were kind of either unpaid or really, really badly paid, right? Because you didn't know how to do anything. It's the same principles. So the first thing, as I mentioned, learn to speak tech. So understand how to collaborate with product managers, designers, developers, analysts, and data scientists. Understand what these five people do. Speak their language. That is learning to speak tech. After you've done that, that is your foundation. After you've done that, you have to actually see how this theoretical knowledge that you've learned, how this theoretical knowledge gets applied in real projects. It's very, very unrealistic that somebody's going to say, oh, you've taken a course, now you know what an API is, let me pay you some money. That is unrealistic. So you're probably going to be volunteering at some startups, with some accelerators, maybe with some angel networks. The point here is to learn to build your network. You got to be humble about this process, at least at first. Then once you learn some stuff, then yes, that builds your confidence. But at the beginning, humility, please. Then, once you've been involved in some projects, you've actually seen companies growing, you've actually been involved in some product innovation, then you have to do step three. What's step three? It is you have to tell people that now you have this new skill set, because otherwise people are just going to keep on lumping you into what you used to be before. So we all do this, right? Like I'm sure that there are friends that you have who maybe after college they became lawyers. And you know what? Maybe they haven't been a lawyer for like the past 15 years, but you still think of them as a lawyer. We all do this because, we put people in boxes and they kind of just stay in that box. It's very convenient for all of us to just have, one box per person. There we go. But it's extremely frustrating. It's maddening if you're trying to change your career, if you're trying to make a career transition. So let's go back to our banking example. So there's this investment banker. They've taken all of these Speak Tech courses. Maybe they've taken my Tech for Non-Technical Founders course or the How to Speak Tech for Corporate Leaders course. So they've done that. Well done. Love you. Then they got involved with some interesting digital innovation projects. They have done that. But the only people who know that, now they actually know what they're talking about, the only people who know about how much value they could add are the people that they're adding value to. So literally the immediate people in their immediate circle. So maybe in that particular startup, maybe in that accelerator. That's a great start, but it's a small number of people. If you want to make a really meaningful transition, you got to scale that. How do we scale that? We basically start telling the world, you have to start telling the world that you are no longer just, John the banker. You are now somebody who is an expert in fintech. Maybe you really understand digital payments. Like maybe that's your arena. How do you do that? So first of all, your LinkedIn profile. What do you have on there? Do you know when was the last time you looked and updated it? If it's been a while, listen, people, you gotta go figure that out. So if you are not adding digital strategy capabilities to your LinkedIn profile, then it's kind of like you're not telling the world about it. But just changing your LinkedIn profile is also not going to be enough. You have to change how you introduce yourself. You have to change how you speak about yourself. You have to mention that you're involved in some fintech innovation projects, for example, because if you don't, you are just going to be John the banker forever and ever. And all that time and money and effort that you spend on learning to speak tech and getting involved in this project, it is not going to be enough. So update your LinkedIn profile, change how you speak about yourself. Another super quick hack is you can literally share content which is relevant to that topic and just write a couple of sentences about why it's important. So maybe Revolut has done something. Maybe Revolut has entered a new market, or Monzo has done something. And then you could literally just share that piece of news, write about why you think it's interesting and how that piece of news is going to impact the rest of the banking sector. Or what is it that surprised you? Or you could say, okay, well, before I really understood how fintech companies work, well, I would have made this mistake. But actually, now that I understand this no longer surprises me. Literally 2-3 sentences. Take that article, 2-3 sentences, share it on LinkedIn. Do this regularly, like a couple of times a week. You should be reading those articles anyway. And if you're reading them, ideally you are actually digesting them and thinking about what you're reading. So literally just put those thoughts out there. It is not a huge investment of your time or effort. But doing this kind of thing consistently, that's what allows you to transform your career from traditional business manager to digital leader. So let's recap those steps. Step 1, learn to speak tech. This is basically understanding the subject matter. If you don't understand the subject matter, you cannot move on to step 2 and step 3, because step 2 is get involved in projects, which basically means that you need to get involved in actual projects where theory is being put into practice. And if you don't know the theory, don't get involved in the projects. Nobody's going to want you. So learn the theory first. After you got involved in the right project, make sure that then people know about this. You have to work to change how people see you. You have to work to change your professional image. Your professional image, what you're going for is digital leader, a thought leader, but also a business leader in a particular area of digital technology. Okay, one of the things that you could do to help yourself is you can get the How to Speak Tech guide that is free that I made for you. It lists the top 10 tech concepts that every business leader needs to know, and that there's also some more useful stuff in there. It is free. It is available on the Tech for Non-Techies website. So just go to tech4nontechies.co. You'll get that guide, read it, and that's really going to help you with step one. Once you've mastered step one, then get on to steps 2 and 3. Good luck. I'd love to hear from you.